Hi everybody, it's Tracey Abbott from Microlink PC. I'm going to give you some top tips, hopefully, that will really help you with recruiting people with talent and disabilities to make the changes that you need to make a success of the programs. Now I've got, I think, about 16, so hopefully this won't take long. We've got top tip number 1. Look at your company culture, the existing culture within your firm, and actually check that you're ready to do this, to make a success of this. You do have to get people's buy-in, not only for funding, but also just to make sure that they want to do the work, quite frankly. Okay, top tip number 2 relates to number 1 as well, is getting a senior buy-in, ideally at C-level, so that they've got some budgetary responsibility and say-so. These individuals will often have a personal story, perhaps somebody within their own family that they've seen be prejudiced against, quite frankly, because they've had a disability. Or they look at their own children and realise that they wouldn't get through the process to be able to employ their own family within the organisation. They're often really, really good advocates for you. And certainly if you're looking for any budget, they're the people that you need to have on board. Top tip number 3. Review your recruitment processes. Now, if you don't know how to do that for yourself, please feel free. It's what I do for my day job. We do charge you, but I think that you can recoup the charges really quickly and effectively over a very short space of time because you're going to be recruiting better talent. The recruitment process will actually look at everything from your attraction strategy, so what's going out in the press, through to the job descriptions, through interviews, and from there onwards. So top tip number 4, as well as reviewing your recruitment process, is actually you look at your interview and assessment centres. Because often, even if you make the physical accessibility or the digital accessibility work, whether or not you're recruiting online or you're still holding in-person, face-to-face interviews, it's really important that the digital accessibility of your website's checked. So top tip number 5. Look at how candidates can communicate with you. I've been looking at a few sites recently and they're still only offering the option of an email very often, and you have to search around for that option. And I would like that to be front and centre. So not just email, that you've also got a phone number that people can contact you on, or maybe there's a text that they can send. Maybe you've got a disability advocate within your recruitment side that can actually handle these sort of calls or texts or emails, but make sure that it's in place. So tip number 6, invite people to tell you how you can help them perform to their best in interview. Now, we're not talking about reasonable adjustments because often, or disability, quite frankly, I used to always say, can you ask about any disability or long-term health condition that might need an adjustment made throughout the recruitment process? Well, that's important, but I've got diabetes. I don't consider myself as disabled. I don't really think about reasonable adjustments to a recruitment practice. We all know about the extra time for people with dyslexia, but do you actually know, if you ask them about adjustments, do you actually know what adjustments you could do, what you could facilitate? So it's quite important that you actually you investigate that, and it's important that you actually allow people to behave their best and perform at their best, because you want to see if they're going to culturally fit in with your organisation and do well, don't you? It's not a test, it's an interview. So the point number 7, accepting applications in different formats. Now again, I often see that you will only accept through the applicant tracking system, you will only accept a document, a CV document, you won't look at any other format. Well, that can be quite discriminatory for individuals that perhaps don't have a lot of experience, but want to be more current and use a TikTok video, for example. Or I've seen a lot of examples of people using sandwich boards up in the city. So when you're putting your job adverts out, this is top tip number 8, is you check your job descriptions for unconscious bias. So you're not putting in gender when you're looking for secretaries. You're not putting in gender when you're looking for engineers. You're not putting in that you want somebody to have 5 O-levels, for example, when actually it doesn't matter if they've got 5 O-levels or not. It just matters if they can produce what you need them to produce within the work, within the job role. Top tip number 9, focus on outputs. Do they really need to type to do the job, or could they use speech to text software? So I use a mixture, and actually it helps with my my stammering, or it helps with my energy levels to occasionally use Dragon Professional to get documents out, to do audits, etc., etc. I don't need to be able to type to do that. I can speak to do that. So think about the outputs in the role, not what you traditionally would have put down, not what you put down for the last 6 years and you've just taken the same job description and fluffed it up a bit. And try and keep away from emotive language, like saying what a vibrant environment it is, or looking for individuals who have a prescribed 3 years experience. If somebody can do the job and they learn to do that in a year and a half, surely they're perhaps more dynamic, to use another emotive word, and could come on board and make a bigger impact quicker for you. I don't know, but it's certainly something to think about. Top tip number 10, are the qualifications necessary? Now we're going back to the 5 O-levels. A lot of companies are really hidebound by the A-level now, or having a degree. And quite frankly, they say that they can prove it's essential. But I can quite frankly probably prove that it isn't. It's somebody's spirit and willingness to do the work. I didn't have a degree, which is maybe where it comes from. But if you've got work experience, that can often surely trump somebody who's done a degree in, I don't know, fine art or marketing or history, whatever it might be that they've loved doing, which is fantastic. But real world experience over something creative or maths based, I don't know. You tell me. Top tip number 11. Look at doing a project in conjunction, for example, with the DFN Foundation. Now, if you're not familiar with Claire Cookson from the DFN Foundation, they produce project search programs which work with people with learning disabilities, and through rote training and with job coaches that are supplied by Access to Work, they can actually provide you with staff that are generally kept at home and generally don't go into full-time work. I've seen this so successfully done. GlaxoSmithKline was the first one to do it in the UK, and that was something that I set up with them probably 15 years ago. The DFN group do work with people like National Grid and with a lot of hospitals with huge success. Definitely worthwhile looking at. Top tip number 12. Consider the websites that you're using and the results that you're getting from them. The old adage, if you do the same thing the same way all the time and expect a different outcome, being the first signs of madness, is so true. Have a look at very specific sites like Even Break, which is run by people with disabilities, for people with disabilities. They've got over 50,000 candidates, 30,000 actively looking at the moment. And I'm sure that these are individuals that you would benefit from talking to. Top tip 13, ensure your recruiter and Top tip 13, ensure both your recruiters and line managers are trained in disability awareness. Give them the confidence and the comfort of talking to individuals with disabilities, of knowing how to make the adjustments to the process, of actually looking at having a little technical tool bag that your IT department have approved so that you can get people in that you don't normally attract. But it does mean that you need to do some training and preparation so that the people aren't afraid to fail. Top tip 14, I touched upon it just now. Having a toolkit agreed with your IT department. It's part of getting a good workplace adjustments process in place. There's no point if somebody hasn't told you they've got a disability or need an adjustment, if they turn up on interview and suddenly need to, I don't know, have an overlay, or they can't use Teams with their JAWS, or they can't use the process that you've got basically without the adjustments being made. Your recruiters having the confidence and knowledge to be able to say, well, look, if you need this adjustment, let's rearrange this appointment. We'll make sure that your IT works with our IT, and then we'll reset the formal interview back up again. So give them the confidence, Agree it with IT, so IT isn't being phoned up saying Teams doesn't work with JAWS, sort it. Tip 15, we're nearly there. Record the impact and adjustments the individual needs, not the disability. And I say not, highly underlined. Do not carry that forward, you could get sued. But take the adjustments information, carry it through all of the process, including assessments, and then ideally, getting into the point 16, get a really good, robust workplace adjustment process set up so that when these people do join you, they don't automatically leave because you haven't carried their adjustments forward. Anyway, that's 16 of my top tips. If you would like more information, feel free to reach out to me at tracy.abbott@microlinkpc.com. I look forward to speaking to you soon.